Good evening, everybody. My name is Brian Stelzer. I am substitute hosting for Nick. They have had a Big Ten meeting this evening, and they will not be able to join us. Glad you all could continue to join us for our nursing meetings. Today's presenter, we have Mike Frame. He's going to be presenting football complexity, what makes a play difficult. So, Michael, with that, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Thanks, everyone. So if I don't know if anybody from my Mountain States crew is on this call tonight, but I gave this presentation in a abbreviated format um, for that clinic. And so we talk about a lot about what a difficult play really is. And I got DB Sport up, so we're good to go. I just want to make sure I don't have any extraneous items up on the screen here. So let me share my screen. Keynote. So we talk about, and how many, I'm sure I don't need responses for this one, but I'm sure everybody has come back to the locker room at some point and have talked about one or two plays. Oh, that was a tough play. Oh, that was a lot of moving parts. That play killed me out there, that sort of thing. Um, But we don't often talk about what makes plays difficult to us. Obviously there's a number of different items that can make plays difficult to us, but that doesn't necessarily mean we quantify that. So um, I'm going to talk about what makes a play difficult and how we can quantify that and turn that into actionable data that we can then use to set goals for the upcoming season. Since we're coming up to that, we're going to want to set goals for the upcoming season. So the question one, why do we do this? So we have a values, we have a mission, we have goals to accomplish. And if you've ever read The Seven Habits by Stephen Covey, you'll know where a lot of this is coming from. Um, but as officials, we all have a mission. We have values related to that mission of football officiating. And our role is it's all the same. We're on field, we're officiating football, we're officiating college football. Um, but at the same time, we want to find a way to further ourselves every time we're on the field. Every year we work football. We want to strive for something. And the obvious items that we're going to strive for could be, a playoff game, a bowl game, better assignments, promotion to the next level, moving from a crew member to a referee. We have those goals. We have those values. This is what we want to do. But our values and our mission is the why. So we set the goals are we set are the what. We want to not have any incorrect mechanics on what we want to make our layups. We want no incorrect mechanics on easier plays. So how do we do that? What does that look like to us? And the how is the metric that we set for our goal. And we can measure our progress in many ways. Obviously, you say, hey, we want to look good on screen. We want our crew to look professional. But ultimately, how we measure it is better done when the measurement is discrete, objective, quantitative metrics. So something we can list out in numbers on a spreadsheet always works a lot better to be data driven. And some metrics might have qualitative, subjective qualities. Hey, I want our crew to look like, we want no plays where we look like we're the Keystone Cops. But it can still be rooted in data. It still can be rooted in the quantitative outcomes. So I think one of our basic value statements, I know for my crew, one of the base statements we have as college officials, we should be able to handle difficult plays. And obviously, again, we talk about it. We should make our layups. We shouldn't be the first year guy thrown out on a varsity game because we're short of officials. We should be able to handle the difficult plays. We should be able to handle the easy plays. We should be able to make the layups. We should be able to handle the difficult plays. But what constitutes a difficult play? And this is where we get into complexity. So before we do that, let me let me change the screen I'm sharing. We're going to switch to DB Sport. Let me make sure this is, need 1 second here to make sure this is optimized for screen sharing. There we go. Try that again. So we'll just take a look at it. This could be any play during the course of the season. So somebody shout out, how complex do you think that play is? How tough do you think that play was to work?
Easy, basic
Easy.
one.
There you go. That's exactly it. That is as easy as it gets. Oops. I'm just gonna share full screen because I'm maybe going back and forth here. So give me a second while I share. Oh, yeah, we'll just share the desktop. Okay. There we go. So each play is different. So that was an easy play. Each play is different. It has different needs and requirements for its players, coaches, and officials. And I think we'd all agree that there are some plays that are objectively more difficult to work than others. That run up left tackle there, we see that 100, 120 times a game. Pretty easy. We don't have to make as many judgments as we would on a pylon play to the back corner. So each time something different from a baseline occurs, it adds complexity to the play in question. So what do we consider the baseline? Well, what we just saw is considered the baseline. And that's what we call a 0 point play. Now we'll move on here. This one's a little more complex, not much more complex, but we've got a first down. This is no longer short of the line to gain. We've had to make another decision, and that, yes, he got past the line to gain. So now we've added a modifier to this play. Again, still pretty easy. We've seen first down plays so often that we see this. Okay, it's a first down. Great. We'll move on here. And again, a little more complex than just the 3 yards clouded us. Now instead of a run, it's a pass play. Again, pass plays, short of the line to gain, inbounds is still a pretty easy play. We've seen those short passes. We'll see them 50, 60 times a game, depending on what teams we see. But now we start getting into more complex scenarios here. And now you can see this is a punt play, more complexity. We only see a punt play 10, 15 times a game, and it ends near the sideline. So now we've got more complexity. Now we've got to determine, okay, if something happened out of bounds. Did someone step out of bounds? Did somebody do something that might merit a foul? Some sort of decision-making process. So we'll come back to this in a second. Now that we've seen a few of these plays. So for every aspect of the play that deviates from a baseline run up the middle, we'll add a point to the total value of the play. I call it a modifier. You can call it whatever you like. But ultimately, we figure out how many of these different modifiers we have during the course of the play. And when that play is over, well, you have the point value of the play. Now, if any of you work in any if any of you kind of work in software engineering, or if you work in any sort of engineering field, we talk about complexity when we're creating tasks. So you may recognize some of this with that. Um, and we'll talk about the modifiers. So with that, how it, pause this for a second. Throw out unmute yourself. You can throw it in the chat, or you can shout it out live here. But what do you think? Tell me some tell me some things that you think might be modifiers to a particular play.
Fumble.
Fumble, that's one.
Any change of possession.
Change of possession, that's another one. Yep.
Let's go pylon.
Pylon play, that's a good one. And there's more. There's more. I have
Foul.
21 in my list.
Or anything regarding the goal line.
Yep, goal line. Somebody say foul. Did I hear foul?
Yes.
Foul. That's another one. That's a good start to the list. But let me pull up the list here. We have 21 modifiers that I came up with. Um, no, 22, I'm sorry. I came up with 22 modifiers, and some of them are a little more subjective than others. Um, and some of them happen twice during the course of a play, but every one of those increases the complexity of the play. So an unusual formation, scrimmage kick formation, swinging gate, the old A11 when they used to do that in high school, that sort of thing. Anything that's unusual in the sense that you don't have five interior linemen and you have a general sense of what your initial responsibilities are. Pass play, forward or backward, could be anything. He just throws the ball instead of hands it off. Tight catch, no catch. Play ends out of bounds or threatens the sideline. Some of these are pretty commonplace and will add complexity without us even considering it because we've seen these plays. We know what these plays look like. We don't have to worry about them. We've seen so many plays end out of bounds. That doesn't bother us. Play ends beyond the line to gain or close enough to require membership. We've seen so many plays go beyond the line to gain or get close to it. It doesn't bother us. Fouls. We see a lot of fouls during the course of our season, so seeing a holding foul on the play doesn't bother us. But now we get into unusual fouls when somebody calls a personal foul for striking, or somebody calls a clip, or somebody calls sideline interference. Now we're getting into the unusual territory where we don't see that stuff as often. Turnovers, fumbles, muffed kicks, team A recoveries of those muffs. Some of those happen less frequently than others. Those are the modifiers that cause us to hold our breath for a second and be like, oh, what's going to happen now? Now we're starting to get into a little more complex territory. Kick plays, scoring plays, some of those we seal out. For those of us with replay stoppages and quick reversals, expedited reviews. Fourth down, go for it plays. Our antennas are always heightened on those. Blocked passes, blocked kicks. Um, you know, any play with the 10-second subtraction, we're always working on those in our rules. In our rules quizzes, we're making sure we don't miss a 10-second subtraction or misenforce it. Pylon plays, illegal touching of kicks, injuries, helmets off, double passes or flea flickers, passes after handoffs. These are the types of modifiers we have. And this is not an exhaustive list. These are just the ones that I thought of when I was trying to figure out how I was going to quantify all of this. There could be more, but these start to add up. So we'll look at a few more complex plays, but I went through a number of my games from last season, about 1,500 plays total. And it turns out that 98% of the plays we see, 98.4% of the plays we see have three modifiers or less. So that's what we consider our layups. Once we get into 4+ modifier territory, that's where we talk about slowing down, making sure we have everything as part of the play. But our layups are anything that have three modifiers or less. So the list we had here, three of those. So you could have a kick play with a foul on it that threatens the pilot. We should be able to manage that with no issue. Could have a pass play that ends out of bounds beyond the line of game. That should be a layup for us. But those are also easy plays. 3-point plays are not all created equal. A pass out of bounds beyond the line to gain is a lot different than a turn than an interception with a foul. A lot more directions to go over, but that's still a 3 modifier play. So let's look at a few plays. Once again, this is just a 2 modifier play, nothing too out of the ordinary. Kind of maybe threatens pylon, but it's a scoring play. We'll get to some more complex plays here. So here we go. This is our first 3-pointer. And if you want, you could say it's a 4-pointer. But what do we have here that we have to judge? It's a pass play. So there's one. It's a scoring play. So we've got to determine, yes, he got inside the pylon. Could consider it a pylon play. It's not really. But if you look down here too, all of a sudden we got a foul we've got to handle. So this is 3 different items that we as officials have to manage on this play. Now, not everybody has to manage all of them at the same time. But these are 3 different items we have to manage. We have a pass play, we have a scoring play, we have a foul. All those things need to be running through our head. But at the same time, this is a layup for us as college officials. This one's a little more complex. We'll go back to the beginning here. It's a kick play. We've got a foul. In fact, we've got 2 fouls. And we're going to have targeting, so we're going to have a review. So while this ends up only being a 4-point complexity play, we have all the moving parts on it. This is one we definitely want to slow down on. We want to make sure, hey, we've got all the pieces put together. This is a kick play. We have a foul after the kick. We technically have 2 fouls. We have a disqualification, and we have a review. So this is something we need to take into account as we understand this is a difficult play to work. This is a more difficult play to work. We'll move on here because they get even more complex. Pass. We have a fumble. We have a turnover. And we're going to have a review stoppage. So it looks like it's going to be an easy, simple pass play, might get tackled, but all of a sudden, everything comes at you at once. look at one more here. Oops. Quick pass. We have a pylon, catch, no catch, scoring play. We have a foul, and we'll have a replay review. This was the only 6-point play I saw all year, but we have a number of items that everybody has to look at and keep an eye on. So as you can see, complexity can come at you quickly. It can be an easy play until it's not anymore. So we have to be prepared on every play for those complex plays where there can be a lot of moving parts. Something to consider as you're watching your video during the course of the season. Look to see where are those complex plays. Those are usually the turning point plays. Those are the plays that get the most scrutiny. So this is all well and good, but what do we do with all of this? So we'll go back to our topic of goal setting. We have some examples, and I'll leave it to you to find, what your goals are during the course of the season. What you want your goals to be for the full season, what you want your goals to be on a per game basis. But I do think it's important that everybody sets some goals during the course of the season. So, you should set your expectations or what you might consider a less complex play, 0 to 3 modifiers, the easy, the layups, the pass out of bounds, the plays you're going to see 150 out of 170 times per game. No mistakes on those plays. Make your layups. But at the same time, we don't want to make mistakes at all. So we want to see, yes, we get the high complexity plays right too, even if we have to take a little more time to parse everything out and get them correct. Any questions on this? I know it's a little more cerebral than your usual, breaking down video and talking about what you want to do in certain situations. But I do think as we get closer to the actual season, we're starting in some folks are going to be starting in a week and a half, which is great. I do think it's important to finalize and consider your goals for the course of the season. So, as I mentioned, any questions? Well, everyone, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you a little bit. I hope you all have a great season. And Brian, I'll give it back to you.
Great. Thanks, Michael.
Yep.
Good stuff. So appreciate you, everyone. Just a reminder that if you want to present, you can always do this too. We do not have anyone signed up for August 25th. I believe when Nick was last on, that meant we're probably not going to host that in 2 weeks. So be ready in about a month from now. September 8th is our next set with plays to share. By then, we'll have a couple of weeks into our season. Part of the reason why we're taking the week off of the 25th anyway. It is the start of the season for most of us. So by the time we next meet, we'll have plays to look at. So bring plays, DV Sport, Huddle, whatever the case may be Ready for that. Stay in the rule book. If you are watching the quizzes, there's plenty of that Nick puts together. So be taking a look at that. Otherwise, thanks for joining us tonight. Good luck on the start of your seasons, and we'll see you in a few weeks.